The phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Gabriel Mitchell stood at the altar in his perfectly tailored charcoal suit, his hands clasped in front of him, trying to ignore the persistent buzzing in his pocket. The cathedral was packed with 500 guests. Crystal chandeliers cast brilliant light across marble floors. White roses and orchids adorned every surface. His bride, Caroline Whitmore, would walk through those towering oak doors any moment now. The phone vibrated again. And again. His best man, Trevor, leaned in and whispered, "Want me to turn it off?" Gabriel shook his head slightly. Something felt wrong. He had made sure everyone knew not to call today unless it was an absolute emergency. His assistant knew. His executive team knew. Even his demanding mother knew. The organ music swelled. The congregation rose to their feet. Caroline appeared at the entrance, a vision in white lace and silk, her father beside her. She smiled at him, radiant and confident. The phone buzzed 7 times in rapid succession. Gabriel's heart hammered against his ribs. His mouth went dry. Something was very, very wrong. Caroline began her slow walk down the aisle. Each step brought her closer. The guests beamed. Cameras flashed. His mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. The phone rang, the actual ringtone breaking through his pocket this time, loud enough that the people in the first few pews turned to look. The pastor's eyes widened in surprise. Gabriel's hand moved to his pocket almost involuntarily. "Gabriel," the pastor said quietly, a warning in his tone. But Gabriel was already pulling out the phone. 32 missed calls. 27 text messages. All from a number he hadn't seen in 8 months but would recognize anywhere. The latest text, from a different number, was from Tasha Jenkins. Just 3 words: hospital. Labor. Now. His vision blurred at the edges. The cathedral seemed to tilt. The air felt too thick to breathe. Caroline was halfway down the aisle now, her smile faltering as she noticed him staring at his phone. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Another text appeared: "She's asking for you. Baby is coming. St. Mary's Hospital. Room 412. "Gabriel?" the pastor said again, louder this time. He looked up at Caroline, still approaching, confusion beginning to replace joy on her perfect features. He looked at his mother in the front row, already frowning with disapproval. He looked at the 500 guests, all dressed in their finest, all expecting a fairy tale wedding. Then he looked back at his phone. Brianna. The woman he had loved with every fiber of his being. The woman he had left because his family demanded he marry someone from their social circle. The woman he had spent 8 months trying to forget. She was in labor. With his baby. A baby he hadn't known existed. His feet moved before his brain could process the decision. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, but in the silent cathedral, everyone heard. He walked past Trevor, whose mouth hung open in shock. He walked past the pastor, who tried to grab his arm. He walked past the front row, where his mother gasped and his father stood up abruptly. He walked straight down the center aisle, against the flow of Caroline's approach. They met in the middle. "Gabriel, what are you doing?" Caroline's voice was sharp, confused, hurt. "I have to go." The words felt inadequate, cruel, impossible. "What?" "We're getting married. Right now. There's someone else. Someone who needs me. I'm so sorry." He didn't wait for her response. He couldn't bear to see her face crumble. He just kept walking, faster now, his shoes clicking against marble, the shocked silence of 500 people pressing against his back. Someone shouted. His mother, probably. Maybe Caroline. Maybe both. He pushed through the heavy oak doors and ran into the afternoon sunlight. His driver was waiting with the car. Gabriel yanked open the door himself. "St. Mary's Hospital. As fast as you can go." "Sir, the wedding?" "Now. Please." As the car pulled away from the cathedral, Gabriel looked back once. He could see people flooding out of the doors. Caroline stood at the top of the steps, her white dress brilliant against the stone, her veil blowing in the wind. She was screaming something he couldn't hear. He turned forward and gripped his phone so hard his knuckles went white. He was either making the biggest mistake of his life or correcting one he'd made 8 months ago. Either way, there was no going back now. Have you ever had to choose between what everyone expected of you and what your heart knew was right? If this story is already pulling at your emotions, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think Gabriel should do. Would you have left the wedding? Let's discuss in the comments. The drive to St. Mary's Hospital took 17 minutes, though it felt like hours. Gabriel sat in the back of his car, still in his wedding suit, watching the city blur past. His phone kept ringing. His mother. His sister Rachel. Trevor. Caroline's father. The wedding planner. He ignored them all. The only person he wanted to talk to was in a hospital room, going through something he couldn't imagine. His mind raced backward through the past 8 months. After he and Brianna ended things, she had disappeared from his life completely. No calls. No texts. No social media updates. He had respected her need for space, even though it had torn him apart. He had thrown himself into work, into family obligations, into planning a wedding he wasn't sure he wanted. And all that time she had been carrying his child. Alone. The guilt hit him like a physical blow. Why hadn't she told him? Had he hurt her so badly that she couldn't reach out? Or had she tried and he had been too wrapped up in his own misery to notice? The car pulled up to the emergency entrance. Gabriel threw money at the driver and ran inside, not caring how he looked or who saw him. Room 412, he gasped at the reception desk. Brianna Washington. The nurse looked at him with wide eyes, taking in the expensive suit, the boutonniere still pinned to his lapel, the wild desperation in his face. Are you family? I'm the father. The words felt strange, new, terrifying, and wonderful all at once. She pointed to the elevators. 4th floor. Labor and delivery. But sir, she's in active labor, so you may not be able to. He was already running again. The elevator crawled upward. Gabriel stared at his reflection in the polished doors. He looked like a man who had just abandoned his wedding. Because he had. He looked like a man whose life had split into before and after. Because it had. 4th floor. The doors opened. He rushed past the nurse's station, following the room numbers. 408, 410, 412. The door was partially open. He could hear voices inside. A calm medical voice giving instructions. Another voice, Tasha's, offering encouragement. And then a third voice, Brianna's, strained and exhausted and in pain. Gabriel pushed the door open. The room came into focus in fragments. Bright lights overhead. Machines beeping. Tasha standing beside the bed in a bright blue dress, holding Brianna's hand. And Brianna. She lay in the hospital bed, her beautiful dark skin glistening with sweat, her hair pulled back, her face contorted with effort. She wore a green hospital gown that seemed too thin, too impersonal for the monumental thing happening to her body. When she saw him, her eyes went wide. Gabriel? It came out as barely a whisper, hoarse from hours of labor. He crossed to her bedside in 3 strides. I'm here. I'm so sorry. I came as soon as I got the messages. Tasha stepped back, giving them space but staying close. Her expression was protective, wary. You were getting married today, Brianna said, and even through her pain, there was accusation in her voice. I left. He took her other hand, the one Tasha wasn't holding. Her skin was hot and damp. I left everything and came here. You and this baby, you're what matters. I should have been here all along. You didn't know. She grimaced as another contraction hit. Her hand squeezed his so hard he thought his bones might crack. Why didn't you tell me? It wasn't an accusation, just a desperate need to understand. I tried. The words came out between gasps. I called. 3 times. Your assistant said you were unavailable. Then I saw the engagement announcement. I thought, you had moved on. I didn't want to ruin your life. Gabriel felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart. She had tried. She had reached out. And his assistant, following his blanket instructions not to be disturbed with personal matters during the merger, had blocked her. You could never ruin my life, he said fiercely. You are my life. I made a mistake, Brianna. The worst mistake. Leaving you, choosing duty over love. If you give me a chance, I will spend the rest of my days making it up to you. The doctor entered then, checking monitors and examining Brianna. Okay, we're getting close. Dad, if you're going to stay, you need to scrub in properly. Dad. The word hung in the air. Brianna looked at him, really looked at him, searching his face for something. Whatever she found must have satisfied her because she nodded. Stay, she said softly. Please stay. I'm not going anywhere, Gabriel promised. Never again. A nurse handed him surgical scrubs and pointed him to a small bathroom. He changed quickly, stuffing his wedding suit into a bag the nurse provided. When he looked in the mirror, he saw a different man than the one who had stood at that altar. This man had a purpose. This man knew what mattered. When he returned, Brianna was in the midst of active labor. The next hour passed in a blur of medical instructions, Brianna's incredible strength, Tasha's steady support, and his own overwhelmed attempts to help however he could. He held Brianna's hand. He wiped her forehead with cool cloths. He whispered encouragement, though he had no idea if he was saying the right things. He had never felt more useless or more essential in his entire life. And then, after what felt like forever and no time at all, a sound filled the room. A cry. Tiny, indignant, perfect. "It's a girl," the doctor announced, holding up a small, squirming bundle. Gabriel's vision blurred with tears. A daughter. He had a daughter. The nurses cleaned her quickly and placed her on Brianna's chest. Brianna's exhausted face transformed into pure love and wonder. She cradled the baby against her skin, making soft, soothing sounds. "She's beautiful," Brianna whispered. "Look at her, Gabriel. She's perfect." Gabriel moved closer, looking down at the tiny face, the dark eyes trying to focus, the small fingers grasping at air. Something inside him shifted, settled, clicked into place. Everything that had ever seemed important before, board meetings, stock prices, social standing, family expectations, became background noise. This was everything. "Can I hold her?" His voice cracked on the question. Brianna looked up at him, and in her eyes he saw hope mixed with caution. She had been hurt. She had every reason to guard her heart. But she nodded and, with the nurse's help, transferred the baby into his arms. The weight was nothing and everything. She was so small she fit in his forearms. Her eyes found his, and Gabriel fell in love for the second time that day. "Hi, little one," he whispered. "I'm your dad. I know I haven't been around, but that's going to change. I promise you I'm going to be here for everything. Every moment. Every milestone. I'm not going anywhere." Tasha, who had been quietly watching from the corner, stepped forward. "That's a good start," she said, her tone protective but softer than before. "But you've got a lot to prove, Mitchell. She needs more than pretty words." "I know." Gabriel looked from his daughter to Brianna to Tasha. "I'll prove it. Whatever it takes." A nurse came to take the baby for her newborn checks. Gabriel reluctantly handed her over, already missing the weight of her in his arms. As the medical team bustled around, doing their necessary work, the room settled into a quieter rhythm. Brianna lay back against the pillows, exhausted but radiant. Gabriel pulled a chair close to her bedside. "What's her name?" he asked. Brianna smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "I was thinking Melody. Melody Rose Washington." "Melody," Gabriel repeated, testing it out. "It's perfect. It's beautiful." He paused. "Washington. That's my name." "I know. I just thought I'd like her to have my name too." "That's okay." "Melody Rose Washington Mitchell." Brianna studied him for a long moment. "You really left your wedding." "I really did." "Your mother must be furious." "Probably. I don't care." "Your business associates must be having a field day with the scandal." "Let them." "And Caroline?" Gabriel winced. "I hurt her badly. I take full responsibility for that. But I would have hurt her worse by going through with a marriage when my heart wasn't in it. She deserves someone who loves her completely." "And do you?" Brianna's voice was quiet, vulnerable. "Love me completely?" He took her hand again, this time gently, reverently. "I never stopped. Not for a single day. Leaving you was the worst decision I've ever made. I thought I was doing the right thing, honoring my family's wishes, being responsible. But I was just being a coward. I was afraid to fight for what I really wanted." "And what do you really want?" "You. Our daughter. A chance to build a real family, not the picture-perfect one my mother demanded. I want messy and real and full of love. I want to be there for 2 a.m. feedings and first steps and terrible twos. I want to prove to you that I'm not the man who walked away. I'm the man who will always choose you." A tear slid down Brianna's cheek. "You hurt me so much when you left." "I know. I'm so sorry. I thought I was over it. I thought I could do this alone." "You shouldn't have to. I want to help. I want to be there. But I'll respect whatever boundaries you need. I'll go at your pace. I'll prove myself however you need me to." Brianna was quiet for a moment, processing. When she spoke again, her voice was stronger. "I'm going to need help. Not just money, though that matters too. I need actual help. Someone who shows up. Someone reliable." "I'll be there," Gabriel said immediately. "Every day if you'll let me. I'll rearrange my entire life. I'll delegate at work. I'll tell my family they need to accept this or stay out of it. You and Melody come first." "You say that now," Brianna said, but there was a hint of hope in her skepticism. "I'll prove it with actions, not just words." The nurse returned with Melody, now cleaned and swaddled in a pink blanket with tiny white hearts. She placed the baby back in Brianna's arms, and Gabriel watched as mother and daughter gazed at each other, beginning the eternal conversation between them. His phone buzzed again. He pulled it out, saw 47 more missed calls and 72 text messages. His mother's latest message was all capital letters and several instances of, "How could you?" He turned the phone off completely and put it in his pocket. "Aren't you going to deal with that?" Tasha asked, gesturing to his pocket. "Later. Right now, I'm exactly where I need to be." As the afternoon faded into evening, Gabriel stayed. He watched Brianna try to feed Melody for the first time, a process that was harder than it looked but filled with quiet triumph when it worked. He helped the nurses when they came to check vitals. He made sure Brianna had water, that her pillows were arranged properly, that she had everything she needed. Tasha eventually left, but not before pulling Gabriel aside in the hallway. "I'm watching you," she said, her expression serious. "Brianna is my best friend and that baby girl deserves stability. If you're just here because of guilt or obligation, leave now before you do more damage." "It's not guilt or obligation," Gabriel said firmly. "It's love. It always has been." "Then prove it. Every single day." "I will." When the hospital settled into the quiet of night, just the beeping of monitors and the soft sounds of newborns in nearby rooms, Gabriel sat beside Brianna's bed. She was dozing, Melody asleep in the bassinet beside her. He looked at them both, his family, and felt a peace he hadn't experienced in 8 months. His entire world had changed in a matter of hours. He had walked away from a wedding, probably destroyed his relationship with his mother, definitely created a massive scandal that his PR team would be scrambling to manage. And he had never felt more certain of anything in his life. This was right. This was real. This was love. Whatever happened next, whatever challenges they faced, he would face them. Together with Brianna if she would have him. As a father to Melody no matter what. He had spent so long trying to be the man everyone else wanted him to be. Perfect son. Perfect CEO. Perfect society marriage. Now he was going to be something better. He was going to be real. The charity gala sparkled with wealth and privilege. The ballroom of the Grand Meridian Hotel glittered under thousands of tiny lights. Men in tuxedos mingled with women in designer gowns. Champagne flowed freely. A string quartet played classical music in one corner while white-gloved servers circulated with trays of appetizers. Gabriel Mitchell stood near the bar, nursing a scotch he didn't really want, listening to a board member drone on about quarterly projections. He made appropriate sounds at appropriate intervals, but his mind was elsewhere. These events exhausted him. The constant networking. The fake smiles. The careful navigation of social politics. He attended because it was expected, because Mitchell Enterprises had a reputation to maintain, because his mother would skin him alive if he didn't show up. "The key is aggressive expansion into the Asian markets," the board member was saying. "If we could just—" "Excuse me," a voice interrupted, warm and professional. "I'm so sorry to bother you, but there's a problem with the silent auction display." Gabriel turned and found himself looking at the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She was African American, with warm brown eyes that held intelligence and humor. Her hair was styled in natural curls that framed her face perfectly. She wore a deep red dress that was elegant without being over the top, professional but stunning. A small name badge identified her. Brianna Washington, event coordinator. "What kind of problem?" Gabriel asked, grateful for the interruption. One of the stands collapsed and several auction items fell. "I need someone from Mitchell Enterprises to verify that nothing was damaged before we put it back up." "I'll help," Gabriel said immediately, setting down his drink. The board member sputtered. "But we were discussing." "Send me an email Monday morning. We'll schedule a proper meeting." Gabriel was already following Brianna across the ballroom. She led him to a quieter corner where, indeed, a display stand had tipped over. Auction items lay scattered across the floor. A golf trip, spa packages, tickets to a Broadway show. "I'm so sorry about this," Brianna said, already kneeling to pick things up. "The stand was supposed to be reinforced. I triple-checked with the hotel. These things happen." Gabriel knelt beside her, gathering papers. "Nothing looks damaged. Thank goodness. Your company donated half these items. I would have died if something broke." They worked together in companionable silence, sorting and organizing. Gabriel found himself watching her more than the auction items. She moved with efficiency and grace, completely focused on the task. "You do this often?" he asked. "Event planning?" "It's my business. Washington Events. We specialize in high-end corporate functions and charity galas." She glanced at him. "I know who you are, by the way. Gabriel Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Enterprises. You probably think I staged this collapse just to meet you." He laughed, genuinely surprised and delighted by her directness. Did you? No. But I've learned that wealthy people always assume everyone is trying to get close to them for their money. She said it without accusation, just as a matter of fact. You're not wrong, Gabriel admitted. It gets tiring. I imagine it does. She stood, brushing off her dress. There. All fixed. Thank you for your help. Wait. Gabriel stood too. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really come get me? There must be a dozen Mitchell Enterprises people here tonight. Why the CO? Brianna smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Honestly? You looked bored out of your mind talking to that board member. I thought I'd rescue you. You staged the collapse. I absolutely did not. But I may have chosen you specifically to help fix it. Gabriel laughed again. He couldn't remember the last time someone had been so honest with him. Well, I appreciate the rescue. Can I buy you a drink as a thank you? I'm working. After you're done working? She studied him for a moment, her expression thoughtful. Why? Why what? Why do you want to buy me a drink? You could have your pick of anyone in this room. Half the women here are looking for a wealthy husband. Maybe that's exactly why. Because you're not. He realized how true it was as he said it. You're just doing your job. You're honest. You called me out on assumptions about wealth. You rescued me from a boring conversation. I'd like to get to know you better. I have a rule about dating clients. I'm not a client. Mitchell Enterprises is. Semantics. Important semantics. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I won't use it to bother you about work. Just, let me take you to dinner sometime. Somewhere that has nothing to do with business or charity galas or any of this. He gestured around the ballroom. Brianna hesitated. He could see her weighing the pros and cons, the professional risks against personal interest. Finally, she held out her hand for his phone. One dinner, she said as she typed. And if you turn out to be just another wealthy guy who thinks his money makes him interesting, I'm gone. Fair enough. She handed back his phone and walked away, back to managing her event. Gabriel watched her go, already mentally rearranging his schedule to find time for that dinner. He didn't return to the board member. Instead, he spent the rest of the evening watching Brianna work. She was everywhere, solving problems, managing staff, ensuring guests were happy. She moved through the crowd with confidence and competence, never flustered, always professional. When their eyes met across the room, she raised an eyebrow as if to say, "Shouldn't you be networking?" He raised his champagne glass in a silent toast. 3 days later he called her. Their first date was at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, far from the usual haunts of Manhattan's elite. No photographers. No society pages. Just good food and great conversation. Tell me something real about you, Brianna said over pasta. Not the CEO biography. Something true. Gabriel thought about it. I hate my job about 60% of the time. That's honest. I took over Mitchell Enterprises when my father had his first heart attack. I was 25. Everyone expected me to fail. I've spent the last 8 years proving them wrong, building the company, making smart decisions. And somewhere along the way I forgot why I was doing it. What did you want to be? Before the company? An architect. I loved designing buildings, creating spaces where people would live and work and build memories. But that wasn't serious enough for a Mitchell. We build financial empires, not actual buildings. That's sad. It is what it is. Does it have to be? It was such a simple question, but it hit him like a revelation. Did it have to be? Had he ever actually questioned whether he could choose differently? Tell me something real about you, he said, deflecting. I grew up in Queens. My mom was a teacher. My dad died when I was 12. I put myself through college working 3 jobs. Started my event planning business with a $5,000 loan and a lot of nerve. And I'm terrified that one day I'll wake up and it'll all be gone, that I'll be back to struggling. That won't happen. You're too good at what you do. You saw me for 2 hours at one event. I saw someone who had every detail under control, who handled a crisis with grace, who treated her staff with respect. That's not luck. That's skill. Brianna smiled, softer this time. Okay, Mitchell. You might not be terrible. High praise. Don't let it go to your head. They dated for 3 months and Gabriel fell in love so completely it terrified him. Brianna was everything he hadn't known he needed. She challenged him. She made him laugh. She didn't care about his money or his name. She saw him, the real him, and liked what she found. With her, he could be honest about his doubts and fears. He could admit that running Mitchell Enterprises sometimes felt like wearing a suit that didn't fit. He could dream about other possibilities. She took him to art galleries in emerging neighborhoods. He took her to the opera. She taught him to make jollof rice in her tiny apartment kitchen. He introduced her to his sister Rachel, who loved Brianna immediately. But he didn't introduce her to his mother. That should have been his first warning sign. That he kept this important relationship separate from his family meant he knew, on some level, that they would disapprove. Eleanor Mitchell had very specific ideas about who her son should marry. Someone from their social circle. Someone with the right background. Someone who would enhance the family's reputation. Brianna was amazing, but she wasn't what his mother expected. The trouble started when Eleanor announced, over Sunday dinner, that she had arranged for Gabriel to meet Caroline Whitmore. "The Whitmores are old family friends," Eleanor said, passing the roasted vegetables. "Caroline just finished her MBA at Harvard. She's accomplished, well-bred, perfect for you." "I'm seeing someone," Gabriel said carefully. His mother's eyes narrowed. "Anyone I know?" "No." "Then it's not serious." "It is to me." His father, William, set down his fork. "Son, you know how important these connections are. The Whitmore merger would be advantageous for both families. Caroline is a lovely girl. I'm sure she is. But I'm in love with Brianna." The silence that followed was glacial. "Brianna," Eleanor repeated as if the name tasted bad. "What family is she from? Does it matter?" "Of course it matters. Gabriel, you're the CEO of Mitchell Enterprises. Your personal life reflects on the company, on this family. You need someone suitable. Brianna is suitable. She's intelligent, successful, kind." "I'm sure she's very nice," his mother interrupted. "But nice isn't enough. You need someone who understands our world." The arguments continued for weeks. Every Sunday dinner became a battlefield. His mother invited Caroline to family events without Gabriel's permission. His father pulled him aside for man-to-man talks about duty and responsibility. And slowly, insidiously, Gabriel began to doubt. Not Brianna. Never Brianna. But himself. His ability to withstand his family's pressure. His right to choose his own path when so many people depended on the family business. Brianna felt the shift. She was too perceptive not to. "You're pulling away," she said one night, lying in his arms in her apartment. "I can feel it." "I'm not." "Don't lie to me, Gabriel. If this isn't what you want anymore, be honest." "My family wants me to marry Caroline Whitmore." Brianna went very still. "And what do you want?" "I want you." "But." He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because there was a but and they both knew it. "Your family doesn't approve of me," Brianna said softly. "Because I'm not from their world." "It's not about you. It's about their expectations. It's always about expectations with people like your family." She sat up, pulling away from him. "Gabriel, I won't be someone's secret. I won't be hidden because I'm not good enough for your mother's approval. You're more than good enough. Then prove it. Tell your family that you choose me. Bring me to Sunday dinner. Introduce me properly, not as some casual girlfriend, but as someone important to you." Gabriel wanted to. He truly wanted to. But he thought about his father's heart condition, about the stress family conflict caused him. He thought about the business, about how family drama could affect employee morale and stockholder confidence. He thought about his mother's brittle disappointment, about becoming the son who defied family tradition. And in his silence, Brianna found her answer. "You can't do it," she said, and there were tears in her voice. "You care more about their approval than about us. That's not fair. Isn't it?" She stood, wrapping herself in a robe. "I love you, Gabriel. But I love myself more. I won't spend my life trying to be acceptable to people who've already decided I'm not. I deserve better than that. Brianna. I think you should go." He left. He told himself he'd fix it, that he'd find a way to make everyone happy. But days turned into weeks, and his family's pressure intensified. Caroline was lovely, they said. Smart. Perfect for him. Just meet her once. Just give her a chance. And like a coward, he did. Caroline was everything his family wanted. Polished. Educated. From their world. She was pleasant company, though Gabriel felt nothing beyond surface compatibility. But his mother glowed with approval. His father's stress levels decreased. The family dinners became peaceful again. When Caroline's father suggested merging their companies, strengthening both enterprises, Gabriel saw the trap he'd walked into. This wasn't just about marriage anymore. It was about business, about family legacy, about duty. He called Brianna one last time. "I can't do this," he said. "I can't fight my entire family. I'm sorry." "Then we're done," she said, her voice empty of emotion. "Don't call me again." She hung up. He sat in his office staring at the phone, hating himself. 2 months later, he proposed to Caroline at a society event, cameras flashing, his mother beaming. Caroline said yes. The engagement announcement made the society pages. And for the next 6 months, Gabriel went through the motions of planning a wedding he didn't want, to a woman he didn't love, to satisfy a family whose approval suddenly felt hollow. He threw himself into work. Took on impossible projects. Stayed at the office until midnight. Anything to avoid thinking about Brianna, about the choice he'd made, about the man he'd become. He told himself it was the right decision. The responsible decision. He was protecting the business, pleasing his family, doing what was expected. He almost believed it. Until that phone call came on his wedding day, and he realized that doing what was expected had cost him everything that mattered. The morning after Melody's birth, Gabriel woke up in an uncomfortable hospital chair, his neck stiff and his wedding suit rumpled beyond recognition. Early sunlight streamed through the window of Brianna's hospital room. The antiseptic smell of the hospital mixed with something sweeter, baby powder maybe, or whatever they used on newborns. Brianna was already awake, holding Melody against her chest, both of them bathed in morning light. She wore a bright blue nursing gown that one of the nurses had brought her during the night, replacing the sterile hospital green. She hummed softly, a melody Gabriel didn't recognize but found beautiful anyway. "Good morning," he said quietly, not wanting to disturb the moment. Brianna looked over, and he was relieved to see her expression wasn't hostile. Wary maybe. Guarded. But not angry. "Morning. Did you really sleep in that chair all night?" "I did. You could have gone home. This is where I need to be." He stood, stretching, feeling every one of his 33 years in his protesting muscles. "How are you feeling?" "Sore. Exhausted. Happy." She looked down at Melody. "She fed twice during the night. The nurses say she's doing great." "That's wonderful." Gabriel moved closer to the bed. "Can I?" Brianna hesitated only briefly before nodding. Gabriel carefully took Melody into his arms, marveling again at how impossibly tiny she was. She made a small noise and opened her eyes, seeming to study his face. "Hi, sweetheart," he whispered. "It's your dad again. I know I look terrible. Your mom probably looks perfect even after giving birth, which is completely unfair, but that's genetics for you." Brianna laughed, a real laugh, and Gabriel's heart lifted at the sound. "You do look terrible," she agreed. "Like you slept in a chair in your wedding clothes." Accurate assessment. He looked at her over Melody's head. "I need to deal with the fallout from yesterday. My phone has been off, but I can't avoid it forever." "What are you going to tell them?" "The truth. That I made the right choice even if I made it at the worst possible time. They're not going to understand. I don't need them to understand. I just need them to accept it." He carefully handed Melody back to Brianna. "I'm going to go home, shower, change, and face the disaster I created. But I'll be back this afternoon. Is there anything you need? Anything I can bring you?" "My go bag," Brianna said. "From my apartment. I packed it weeks ago, but I left it there thinking I had more time. There's a spare key under the mat. A dress." She told him, and he put it in his phone. "Anything else?" "Real food would be nice. Hospital food is terrible. I'll bring you whatever you want. That Thai place on Amsterdam, the one with the green curry, I love." She paused. "You remember?" "I remember everything about you, Brianna." The words hung in the air between them, weighted with 8 months of separation and hurt and longing. A knock interrupted the moment. A nurse entered, cheerful and efficient. "Good morning. How's our new mama doing? Ready for some breakfast and then we'll do another check on baby?" Gabriel took that as his cue to leave. "I'll be back soon," he promised. The ride back to his penthouse apartment felt surreal. The streets were full of normal people doing normal Sunday morning things. Jogging. Walking dogs. Getting coffee. No one knew that yesterday he had walked out of his own wedding. No one knew that his entire life had changed. His building's doorman did a double take when Gabriel walked in, still in his wrinkled suit. "Mr. Mitchell? Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine, James. Long night." He rode the elevator to the top floor, let himself into the apartment that had always felt more like a hotel than a home. Gleaming surfaces. Expensive art. Perfect and cold. The moment he turned on his phone, it exploded with notifications. 73 missed calls. 142 text messages. 27 voicemails. He ignored them all and headed straight for the shower. The hot water helped clear his head. He stood under the spray, letting the events of the past 24 hours wash over him. This time yesterday he'd been getting ready for his wedding, his stomach tight with dread he'd been ignoring. Now he was a father. Now he had a second chance with the woman he should never have let go. He dressed in casual clothes, jeans and a green button-down shirt, something comfortable. Then he made coffee and finally, reluctantly, started listening to his voicemails. His mother's first message was ice. Gabriel Alexander Mitchell, you will call me immediately. I don't care what childish impulse made you run from your wedding, but you will fix this. The second was fury. How dare you humiliate this family? Caroline is devastated. Her parents are threatening legal action over the wedding expenses. You have embarrassed us beyond measure. The third was manipulation. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. The stress you've caused could kill him, Gabriel. Is that what you want? He deleted them all without listening to the rest. Caroline's messages were different. Pain and confusion. I don't understand. I thought we were happy. What did I do wrong? And later, anger. You owe me an explanation. At least give me that. She deserved an explanation. A real one in person. He'd add that to his list of difficult conversations. Trevor's messages were worried. Dude, where are you? Your mom is losing it. Call me. Rachel's were supportive. I don't know what happened, but I'm here if you need me. Mom is on the warpath though. Be prepared. He called Rachel first. Oh, thank God, she answered immediately. Gabriel, what is going on? Mom is calling in every favor, trying to do damage control. She's telling people you had a breakdown. I didn't have a breakdown. I had a moment of clarity. Want to share that clarity with me? Gabriel took a breath. I have a daughter. Brianna, my ex-girlfriend, was in labor yesterday. I found out during the wedding and I left to be with her. Silence. Then, you have a daughter? Her name is Melody. She was born last night. She's perfect, Rachel. And you left Caroline at the altar to be there? I know how it sounds. It sounds like you finally did something for yourself instead of what Mom wanted. Rachel's voice was warm. I'm happy for you, big brother. Truly. But you have a mess to clean up. I know. I'm going to start with Caroline. She deserves better than a text message or voicemail. Good. And Mom? I'll deal with her too. But I'm not apologizing for my choice. I wouldn't expect you to. For what it's worth, I always liked Brianna better than Caroline anyway. You met Brianna once. Once was enough. She was real. Caroline always felt like she was playing a part. Rachel paused. Can I meet my niece? Soon. I'll arrange it. After hanging up with Rachel, Gabriel called Caroline. She answered on the first ring. I'm surprised you have the nerve to call me, she said, her voice sharp. I owe you a face-to-face conversation. I know I don't deserve your time, but please. Let me explain properly. Fine. My parents' house. 1 hour. The drive to the Whitmore estate in Connecticut felt like going to his own execution. The mansion loomed, all white columns and manicured lawns. Caroline's father answered the door, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. You have 30 minutes, he said coldly. Then I want you off my property. Caroline waited in the sitting room, still in her robe, her face puffy from crying. When she saw Gabriel, something in her expression crumpled further. Why? She asked. Just tell me why. Gabriel sat across from her, maintaining respectful distance. I should never have asked you to marry me. That's the truth. You're an amazing person, Caroline. Smart, accomplished, kind. But I didn't love you the way you deserve to be loved. You said you loved me. I tried to love you. I wanted to love you. My family wanted me to love you. But trying isn't the same as actually feeling it, and you deserved someone who feels it. So yesterday was what? Cold feet. Yesterday I found out that the woman I do love, the woman I walked away from 8 months ago because I was too weak to stand up to my family, was in labor with my daughter. A daughter I didn't know existed because I had been too much of a coward to fight for what I really wanted. Caroline's eyes widened. You have a child? Yes. Her name is Melody. She was born last night. And you left our wedding to be with your ex-girlfriend and your baby? I know how it sounds. I know I humiliated you. I know I caused you incredible pain. There's no excuse for my timing. But Caroline, if I had married you yesterday, it would have been a lie. Eventually you would have realized it. Maybe it would have taken months or years, but you would have known that my heart was elsewhere. You would have spent your life with someone who couldn't give you everything you deserve. Tears streamed down Caroline's face. You're saying you did me a favor by leaving me at the altar? No. I did you a terrible wrong by asking you to marry me in the first place. Leaving yesterday was just finally admitting a mistake I should never have made. He leaned forward, his voice gentle. You deserve someone who thinks you hung the moon. Someone who can't imagine life without you. Someone whose heart races when you walk in the room. I'm not that person. But he's out there. Caroline was quiet for a long moment, processing. When she spoke again, her voice was steadier. Did you ever really try to love me? I tried to convince myself it was enough. That compatibility and respect and shared backgrounds were sufficient foundations for marriage. But that was unfair to you. You deserve passion and partnership and real, deep love. And you have that with her? With Brianna? I do. I did from the moment I met her. And I was an idiot to walk away from it. Caroline wiped her eyes. I'm glad you told me the truth. But I hate you right now, Gabriel. I hate you for wasting my time, for letting me believe we were building something real, for humiliating me in front of everyone I know. I deserve that. I accept full responsibility. If there's anything I can do to make this easier. There isn't. Just go. And don't contact me again. Gabriel stood. For what it's worth, I truly hope you find someone wonderful. Someone who sees how special you are. Get out. He left, knowing he'd handled one impossibly difficult conversation but had more ahead. The confrontation with his mother happened at the Mitchell estate that evening. Eleanor sat in the formal living room like a queen on a throne, his father beside her looking older than Gabriel had ever seen him. Sit down, Eleanor commanded. Gabriel remained standing. I'm not staying long. I came to explain, not to argue. You will sit and you will explain how you could do this to this family. I fell in love 8 months ago with a woman named Brianna Washington. I left her because you and Dad pressured me to marry someone you deemed more suitable. That was my mistake. I should have fought for her then. Yesterday, I found out she was in labor with my daughter. I made the choice I should have made months ago. I chose love over duty. I chose truth over appearances. And I'm not apologizing for it. His father spoke, his voice weary. You've created a scandal that will take years to repair. The business will be fine. If board members want to remove me as CEO because I chose to be present for my daughter's birth, then they're free to try. I'll fight them, but I won't apologize. You embarrassed us, Eleanor said. You humiliated Caroline. You made us look like fools. I embarrassed myself. Caroline didn't deserve what I did. But marrying her would have been worse. It would have been a lie that eventually destroyed 2 lives instead of 1. And this Brianna? This event planner? What makes her so special? She's real. She's honest. She challenges me to be better. She doesn't care about the Mitchell name or the money. She loves me for who I am, not what I represent. And she's the mother of my daughter. Eleanor's face hardened. If you pursue this relationship, don't expect this family's support. We will not welcome her into our circle. Then you won't be part of your granddaughter's life. Your choice, mother. He turned to leave, but his father's voice stopped him. Gabriel. He looked back. His father's expression was complex, sad but understanding. I was where you were once. Before I married your mother. There was someone else. Someone I loved deeply. But my parents pressured me to do the right thing, marry well, think of the family. So I did. He looked at Eleanor, then back to Gabriel. I've spent 50 years wondering what my life would have been like if I'd had the courage to choose differently. Don't waste your life wondering, son. If you love her, if this child is yours, then be there. Be the man I was too afraid to be. Eleanor stood abruptly. William? Enough, Eleanor. Our son has made his choice. We can accept it or lose him. I know which option I'm choosing. Gabriel felt something tight in his chest loosen. Thank you, Dad. Bring them to dinner next week. Let us meet our granddaughter properly. I will. As Gabriel left the estate, he felt lighter than he had in months. Not everything was resolved. There would be more difficult conversations, more consequences to face. But he had done the hard part. He had chosen his path and he was walking it with his head high. He stopped at the Thai restaurant Brianna loved, ordering her favorite green curry. Then he went to her apartment, finding the key exactly where she said it would be. The space was small but warm, full of personal touches that reminded him of her. He found the go bag, already packed with everything she'd need, and added a few more comfortable clothes from her dresser. On the way back to the hospital, he stopped at a baby store and bought flowers for Brianna, a pink teddy bear for Melody, and several practical items the saleswoman assured him new parents always needed. When he walked back into Brianna's hospital room, arms full of bags, she looked up from feeding Melody and smiled. You came back. I told you I would. He set everything down and showed her the Thai food. Still warm. You're amazing. She carefully shifted Melody, who had finished eating and was drowsy. Gabriel took the baby, holding her against his shoulder while Brianna eagerly opened the food container. "How did it go?" she asked between bites. "With your family? My mother is furious. My father surprised me by being supportive. Caroline hates me, which she has every right to. The business will survive. And I've cleared my schedule for the next month to be available whenever you need me." Brianna looked at him, really looked at him. "You really did it? You chose us. I should have done it 8 months ago. I'm doing it now. If you'll let me." "I'm scared, Gabriel. Scared you'll wake up one day and realize this is too hard, that your old life was easier, that we're not worth the trouble." Gabriel sat beside her bed, Melody warm and perfect in his arms. "I spent 8 months living the easy life. Going through motions. Becoming someone I didn't recognize. Easy doesn't mean happy. Yesterday when I got that call, everything became clear. This is worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Our daughter is worth fighting for. I'm not going anywhere, Brianna. Not this time." She finished her food in silence, thinking. Finally she said, "Okay, we'll try. But slowly. I need to see that you mean it, that you're really here for the right reasons." "That's fair. I'll prove it." And as the sun set on their first full day as parents, as nurses came and went, as Melody slept peacefully between them, Gabriel felt hope bloom in his chest. This was his family. This was his real life. And he was never letting go again. 3 days later, Brianna and Melody were cleared to go home. Gabriel insisted on helping, though Brianna's independence warred with her practical need for assistance. "I can carry the bags," she protested as Gabriel loaded everything into his car. "I know you can. I'd like to help anyway." He drove carefully through Manhattan traffic, hyper-aware of the precious cargo in the back seat. Melody was strapped into a brand-new car seat, sleeping peacefully in a white onesie decorated with tiny giraffes. Brianna sat beside her, one hand resting protectively on the carrier. Her apartment building in Washington Heights was modest but well-maintained. Gabriel carried the bags while Brianna carried Melody, both of them moving slowly up the 3 flights of stairs. "No elevator," Brianna said apologetically. "I know it's not what you're used to." "It's perfect," Gabriel said and meant it. The building had character. Real people lived here, not just wealthy shut-ins and luxury towers. Her apartment was exactly as he remembered. Small but cozy. A living room with a comfortable couch and bookshelves packed with novels. A kitchen barely big enough for 2 people. And tucked in the corner, a nursery area she'd clearly prepared carefully. A white crib stood against the wall, next to a changing table stocked with supplies. A rocking chair with a maroon cushion sat nearby. The walls were painted a soft yellow and hand-drawn pictures of animals decorated the space above the crib. "You did this yourself?" Gabriel asked, taking in the nursery. "Tasha helped with the furniture assembly. The drawings are mine." Brianna carefully laid Melody in the crib, watching to make sure she stayed asleep. "I know it's not fancy. It's full of love. That's what matters." Gabriel stayed the rest of the day helping where he could. He learned how to change diapers, though his first few attempts were comically bad. He walked the floor with Melody when she got fussy, discovering that she seemed to like it when he hummed. He made sure Brianna ate regular meals and took breaks. As evening approached, Brianna looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty. "You should probably go home," she said. "You've been here all day. I can stay if you need me. The couch is fine." "Gabriel, you can't just move in." "I'm not trying to move in. I'm trying to help." "I know, and I appreciate it. But I need to figure out how to do this on my own too." He understood, even though leaving felt like abandoning them. "Okay, but I'm a phone call away. Anytime, day or night. If Melody needs anything. If you need anything." "Thank you." Before he left, he placed an envelope on her kitchen counter. "This is for you." Brianna opened it, then immediately tried to hand it back. "I can't take this. It's too much." Inside was a check for $50,000. "It's not too much. You need supplies. Doctor visits. Probably 100 things I haven't thought of. Please, Brianna. Let me do this. I have savings. I planned for this. I know you're capable. But you don't have to do everything alone. I want to contribute. This is my daughter too." Brianna stared at the check for a long moment. Gabriel could see her pride warring with practicality. Finally she nodded. "Okay. Thank you. This will help." "Good." He kissed her forehead, then very gently kissed Melody's tiny hand. "I'll see you both tomorrow." The next month settled into a routine of sorts. Gabriel showed up every morning before work, usually with breakfast. He'd spend time with Melody while Brianna showered or napped or just had a moment to herself. After work, he'd return, often bringing dinner, and stay until Melody's last feeding of the evening. He learned the subtle differences in Melody's cries. Hungry sounded different from tired, different from needing a diaper change. He learned that she liked being held against his chest, could hear his heartbeat there, and would often fall asleep. He learned that Brianna, despite her incredible strength, was exhausted in ways that went beyond physical tiredness. "I love her so much it scares me," Brianna admitted one night 2 weeks after Melody's birth. They were both awake at 3 in the morning because Melody had decided sleep was optional. "What if I mess this up? What if I'm not enough? You're amazing with her. Look at how content she is with you. But what if I make mistakes? What if I don't know the right things to do?" Gabriel took her hand. "We'll both make mistakes. That's parenting. But we'll figure it out together. You're not alone in this, Brianna. I meant what I said. I'm here." Slowly, carefully, trust began to rebuild between them. Not the easy, passionate trust of their early relationship, but something deeper and more tested. Trust earned through showing up, through action rather than words. Gabriel reorganized his work schedule. He delegated more. He left meetings early without apology. When his assistant complained about the difficulty of managing his new priorities, he was direct. "My daughter comes first. Adjust the schedule accordingly or I'll find someone who can." Word spread through Mitchell Enterprises about the CEO's dramatic life change. Some board members grumbled about professionalism. Others, particularly the ones with children, expressed quiet support. Gabriel stopped caring what they thought. His mother remained distant, refusing his invitations to meet Melody. His father, true to his word, showed up one evening at Brianna's apartment with Rachel in tow. "I hope we're not intruding," William said, looking nervous. "We brought some things for the baby." Brianna, to her credit, welcomed them graciously despite her surprise. "Come in, please." Rachel immediately fell in love with Melody, holding her niece with the careful intensity of someone who understood how precious she was. William sat on the couch, watching his son with the baby, and something in his expression softened. "You're good with her," William said. "I'm trying to be. Your mother will come around. Give her time. And if she doesn't? Then that's her loss. This little girl is family, and family is what matters most." Before leaving, William pulled Gabriel aside. "I'm proud of you, son. For the first time in a long time, you look truly happy." "I am. Even with the 3 a.m. feedings and the constant worry and the total upheaval of my life. I'm happier than I've been in years." "That's how you know you made the right choice." As the weeks passed, Gabriel noticed something shifting in how Brianna looked at him. Less wariness. More warmth. She laughed more easily at his jokes. She accepted his help without as much resistance. She let him hold her when Melody finally slept and they were both too tired to do anything but exist together. One evening, a month after Melody's birth, Brianna was feeding the baby while Gabriel washed dishes in her tiny kitchen. The domesticity of the moment struck him. This was what he wanted. Not grand gestures or expensive dates. Just this. Being together. Being a family. "Gabriel?" Brianna's voice was soft. "Yeah. Thank you. For being here. For not giving up on us." He dried his hands and came to sit beside her. "I'm the one who should be thanking you. For giving me a second chance. For letting me be part of Melody's life. For not shutting me out when you had every right to." "I thought about it," she admitted. "Those first few days in the hospital. Part of me wanted to tell you to leave and never come back. That you'd hurt me enough. Why didn't you? Because Melody deserves to know her father. And because I never stopped loving you, Gabriel. Even when I was angry. Even when I thought I'd moved on. When I saw you standing in that hospital room, still in your wedding suit, looking at our daughter like she was the most important thing in the world. I knew. Knew what? That we were going to be okay. Eventually. That you really meant it this time." Gabriel cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. "I will spend the rest of my life proving that you can trust me. That I'm worthy of you and our daughter. You're doing pretty well so far." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Melody was watching them with her serious baby eyes as if she approved. "I think she likes that we're getting along," Brianna said, smiling. "She has excellent judgment. Life wasn't perfect. There were still hard days. Days when Melody cried inconsolably and nothing seemed to help. Days when Brianna was so exhausted she could barely function. Days when Gabriel worried he was doing everything wrong, that he was failing as a father. But there were more good days. Days when Melody smiled for the first time and they both cried from joy. Days when she discovered her hands and spent hours staring at her fingers in fascination. Days when she fell asleep on Gabriel's chest and he sat perfectly still for hours, afraid to disturb her, grateful for every moment. Gabriel's world had gotten smaller and infinitely larger at the same time. His life no longer revolved around board meetings and profit margins. It revolved around this tiny human and the woman who had captured his heart. And for the first time in years he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. One evening as he was getting ready to leave for the night, Brianna stopped him. "Stay," she said. "Not on the couch. With me. I think we're ready for that." Gabriel's heart swelled. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. I want my family together." So he stayed. And when Melody woke up at 2 a.m. for her feeding, both parents were there working together, a team. When she finally fell back asleep and they crawled back into bed, exhausted but content, Gabriel pulled Brianna close. "I love you," he whispered into her hair. "I love you too. Both of you. This strange little family we've made. Not so strange. Just ours." Outside the city hummed with life. But inside that small apartment, wrapped in blankets and love, 3 people had found something more valuable than any empire or fortune. They had found home. Are you rooting for Gabriel and Brianna? Do you believe in second chances when someone truly changes? Subscribe to follow their journey and comment below. What would you do if you were Brianna? Would you forgive him? The scandal hit the news exactly 1 week after the abandoned wedding. Gabriel had hoped that with time, public interest would fade. Instead, a society blogger with a vindictive streak published a detailed account of the wedding day disaster, complete with photos of Caroline in her wedding dress, tears streaming down her face. The headline read, "Billionaire CEO abandons bride at altar for secret baby." Gabriel's phone exploded with calls from his PR team, business partners, and journalists wanting comments. The company's stock dipped 3 points. Social media erupted with hot takes, half supporting his choice to be with his child, half condemning him as a heartless playboy. He sat in his office, staring at his computer screen where the article blazed in all its damning glory. His assistant knocked and entered without waiting for permission. "Sir, the board is demanding an emergency meeting. This afternoon. 2 o'clock. Fine. Tell them I'll be there. And there are 17 journalists in the lobby asking for statements. Tell security to escort them out." No comments. After his assistant left, Gabriel called Brianna. "Have you seen the news?" he asked. "Tasha sent me the article." "Gabriel, this is bad." "I know. But it doesn't change anything. I made my choice. I stand by it. People are saying terrible things about me. That I'm a gold digger. That I trapped you with a pregnancy. One person called me a homewrecker." Gabriel's jaw clenched. "You're none of those things. Anyone who knows you knows that. But most people don't know me. They just see the headline." Her voice was small, hurt. "Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe you should distance yourself from us until this blows over." "Absolutely not. Brianna, listen to me. This storm will pass. Public attention is fickle. Next week, someone else will do something scandalous and everyone will forget about us. But even if they don't, even if this follows us forever, I'm not walking away. Not from you. Not from Melody. Your business will survive or it won't. Either way, my priority is clear. You're willing to risk everything? I already did that when I left the wedding. I can't go back. I don't want to go back." He heard her take a shaky breath. "Okay. We'll face this together then. Together. I promise." The board meeting that afternoon was brutal. 12 executives sat around the mahogany conference table, their expressions ranging from concern to openly hostile. Eleanor Mitchell sat at the far end, her face carved from stone. Bernard Hughes, the oldest board member, started the attack. "Mr. Mitchell, this company's reputation has taken a significant hit due to your personal choices. Our stock is down. We're losing potential partnerships. Clients are expressing concerns. This is unacceptable." "I understand your concerns," Gabriel said calmly. "But my personal life doesn't impact my ability to run this company effectively." "Doesn't it?" Margaret Chin, the CFO, interjected. "You've been absent more in the past month than in your entire tenure as CEO. Important decisions are being delayed because you're unavailable. I've delegated appropriately. Every urgent matter has been handled." "By subordinates," Bernard said. "Not by you. We need our CEO present and focused." "I am focused. Just on the right priorities." His mother finally spoke, her voice ice. "The right priorities? Gabriel, you've made this company a laughingstock. You've humiliated a respected family. You've chosen personal gratification over professional responsibility. I chose to be present for my daughter's birth and her first weeks of life. If that makes me irresponsible in your eyes, Mother, then we have very different values. Values? You walked out of your wedding. A wedding I should never have agreed to in the first place. Yes, my timing was terrible. But the alternative was living a lie. So you've said. Eleanor's lips pressed into a thin line. But your personal redemption arc is costing this company real money and reputation. Then perhaps the company needs new leadership, Gabriel said quietly. If the board believes someone else would be more suitable, I'll step down. But I won't apologize for choosing my family. Shocked silence filled the room. Thomas Wright, a younger board member, cleared his throat. Let's not be hasty. Gabriel has grown this company's value by 40% in the past 3 years. His personal life is messy, yes, but his business acumen is sound. His judgment is clearly compromised, Bernard argued. Actually, Thomas continued, I think his judgment has improved. He's setting boundaries. Work-life balance. These are things employees actually respect. Half our junior staff are working themselves to death because they think that's what success looks like. Maybe having a CEO who prioritizes family isn't a weakness. Others nodded slowly, considering. Margaret spoke again. Gabriel, I appreciate what Thomas is saying. But you need to address the PR crisis. The narrative right now is that you're reckless and untrustworthy. That affects everything we do. What do you suggest? An interview. Something controlled. Tell your story properly. Let people see that this wasn't frivolous, that you were making an impossible choice. I'm not throwing Brianna to the media wolves for public sympathy. Then let them meet her. Show them she's real, that this is real. Right now, she's a mystery which lets people imagine the worst. Gabriel considered. I'll talk to her. But I won't pressure her. She's been through enough. The meeting continued for another hour, hashing out immediate crisis management strategies. By the end, Gabriel had kept his position as CEO, but under clear expectations. Stabilize the stock, repair business relationships, and make himself more available for crucial decisions. As he left, his father caught up with him in the hallway. You handled that well, Williams said. Did I? Feels like I'm barely holding on. You stood your ground without being defensive. That takes strength. His father paused. Your mother will come around. Eventually. And if she doesn't? Then she misses out on knowing a wonderful grandchild and the woman who's clearly good for you. Gabriel drove to Brianna's apartment, needing to see her and Melody after the stressful day. He found them on the couch, Brianna wearing a bright green shirt that made her skin glow, Melody on a play mat kicking her little legs. How bad was it? Brianna asked after he explained the meeting. Bad but survivable. They want me to do an interview. To tell our side of the story. Do you think that would help? Maybe. But only if you're comfortable with it. I won't put you in the spotlight if you don't want to be there. Brianna looked down at Melody, who was focused on a stuffed giraffe hanging above her. What happens if we don't? If we just hide and hope it goes away? Eventually, public interest fades. But until then, we're at the mercy of whatever narrative other people create. And if we do the interview? We control the story. We show people who we really are. I'm scared, Brianna admitted. Scared of being judged. Scared of people tearing me apart. I'm not used to this kind of attention. Gabriel sat beside her, taking her hand. I know. And I hate that my world comes with this kind of scrutiny. If I could shield you from it completely, I would. But you can't. No. All I can do is stand beside you and face it together. Melody made a happy gurgling sound as if offering her opinion. Both parents looked at her and smiled. She's going to grow up in this world, Brianna said slowly. People will always know who her father is. They'll always have opinions about our family. Maybe it's better to define ourselves now, on our terms, rather than let others define us. You want to do the interview? I want to be brave. For her. For us. She looked at Gabriel. But you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise we'll present ourselves honestly. No spin. No trying to make ourselves look perfect. Just the truth. We're two people who made mistakes, who hurt each other, who found our way back because we love each other and our daughter. Real people, not a PR fantasy. I promise. They scheduled the interview for the following week with a respected journalist known for fair, in-depth profiles. Gabriel hired a media coach who spent hours with them, preparing for difficult questions without trying to script their answers. The night before the interview, Gabriel couldn't sleep. He stood in Brianna's living room, watching the city lights through her window, wondering if he was making another mistake. Putting Brianna and Melody in the public eye felt dangerous, exposing them to criticism and scrutiny they didn't deserve. Brianna appeared beside him, wrapped in a blue robe. Can't sleep either? Too many thoughts. We don't have to do this. We can cancel. No. You were right. This is our chance to tell our story. What if they hate us anyway? Then we'll know we tried. And eventually this will all be old news. 10 years from now, Melody will ask why there are articles about her birth, and we'll explain that sometimes you have to make hard choices and live with the consequences. You're really okay with how this all turned out? You lost your planned future. Your mother barely speaks to you. The business is in chaos. Gabriel turned to face her fully. I lost a future that was making me miserable. My mother will adjust or she won't. The business will survive. But I gained something immeasurably better. I gained you. I gained our daughter. I gained a life I actually want to live instead of one I felt obligated to live. Even with all the mess and complications? Especially with them. Perfect and fake doesn't compare to messy and real. She kissed him then, soft and sweet. I love you, Gabriel Mitchell. Your terrible timing and all. I love you too. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for actually showing up this time. From the bedroom, Melody started to cry. They looked at each other and smiled, a moment of shared parental recognition. Together, they went to comfort their daughter, ready to face whatever tomorrow brought. Because they were family. Imperfect, complicated, real family. And that was worth any amount of scandal or judgment or consequence. The interview aired on a Sunday evening, prime time. Gabriel and Brianna watched it together in her apartment, Melody asleep in her crib, both of them nervous about how it would be received. On screen they sat side by side on a neutral gray couch. Brianna wore a beautiful red dress that Gabriel had bought for the occasion. Gabriel wore a simple navy suit, no tie, looking more relaxed than his usual CEO persona. The interviewer, Margaret Lawson, a veteran journalist known for her thoughtful approach, started gently. Gabriel, you made headlines last month when you left your wedding to be with your daughter during her birth. Take us through what happened that day. On screen, Gabriel took a breath. I was standing at the altar when I got a call that Brianna was in labor. I had spent 8 months trying to convince myself that I was doing the right thing, marrying Caroline, following my family's expectations. In that moment, everything became clear. I had a daughter being born and I was about to marry someone I didn't love. I made a choice. A choice that hurt a lot of people. Yes, especially Caroline. There's no justification for my timing. I should never have let things get that far. I take full responsibility for that pain. Brianna, what was going through your mind when Gabriel showed up at the hospital? Brianna's voice was steady. Shock. Confusion. 8 months earlier, Gabriel had chosen his family's expectations over our relationship. I was in labor, alone, and suddenly the man who broke my heart was there. Part of me wanted to send him away. But another part, I wanted my daughter to know her father. And I could see he meant it this time. You didn't tell him about the pregnancy? I tried. 3 times I called his office. Each time I was told he was unavailable. Then I saw the engagement announcement and I thought I needed to let him go, let him have the life he'd chosen. The camera stayed on Brianna's face and even watching the recording, Gabriel could see the hurt there, the vulnerability. That must have been incredibly difficult, Margaret said gently. It was. Being pregnant alone, planning for a baby, knowing her father didn't even know she existed. But I'm strong. I have a good support system. I would have managed. And now? Brianna looked at Gabriel on screen, and something softened in her expression. Now we're building something. It's not perfect. We're taking things day by day. But Gabriel has shown up for us every single day since Melody was born. That means something. Margaret turned to Gabriel. Your family, particularly your mother, has been publicly critical of your choice. How are you handling that? It's painful, Gabriel admitted. I love my mother. I respect my family. But I can't live my life according to their expectations anymore. I tried that and it made me miserable. Melody is my daughter. Brianna is the woman I love. If my family can't accept that, it's their loss, not mine. Strong words. True words. And the business? There have been concerns about your commitment to Mitchell Enterprises. I'm completely committed to the company's success. But I'm also committed to being present as a father. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. It just means being more organized, delegating better, and setting boundaries. Honestly, I think I'm a better CEO now than I was before. I have perspective. The interview continued for another 20 minutes, covering their relationship, their plans for the future, and their hopes for Melody. By the end, both Gabriel and Brianna felt they had been honest and authentic. Real Gabriel turned off the TV and looked at real Brianna. Well, that's done. How do you think it went? I think we told the truth. Whether people accept it or not is out of our control. The initial social media response was mixed but surprisingly more positive than Gabriel expected. Many people commented on how genuine they both seemed, how clear it was that they loved each other and their daughter. There were still critics, of course, people who thought Gabriel was irresponsible or that Brianna was after his money. But the overwhelming narrative shifted from scandal to complicated love story. The business response was even better. The stock rebounded slightly. Several clients who had been wavering renewed their contracts. A few board members actually called to say they thought the interview was good for the company's image, showing a CEO who was human and relatable. Most importantly to Gabriel, his father called. That was well done, son. You both came across as genuine and thoughtful. Thanks, Dad. Your mother watched it too. She didn't say anything, but I saw her eyes when you talked about Melody. I think she's softening. I hope so. For Melody's sake more than mine. Give her time. She's stubborn, but she's not heartless. In the weeks following the interview, life settled into a new normal. Gabriel officially moved some of his things into Brianna's apartment, though they both agreed he should keep his place until they figured out long-term living arrangements. Every morning, Gabriel woke up to Melody's hungry cries. He'd carefully lift her from the crib, change her diaper while talking to her about his plans for the day, and bring her to Brianna for feeding. Then he'd make breakfast while Brianna took care of the baby, and they'd eat together before he headed to work. He came home for lunch when he could, usually bringing food so Brianna didn't have to cook. Evenings were for family time. Walks through the neighborhood with Melody in her stroller, reading parenting books together, playing with the baby on her mat, watching her discover the world. She smiled at me today, Brianna announced one evening, her face glowing. A real smile, not just gas. She looked right at me and smiled. She knows her mama loves her, Gabriel said, pulling both of them into a gentle hug. Nights were harder. Melody still woke every few hours and they took turns getting up with her. Gabriel quickly learned that exhaustion was just part of parenthood, something you pushed through because the alternative was not being there, and that wasn't an option. One night at 3 a.m., Gabriel sat in the rocking chair with Melody against his chest, both of them half asleep. Brianna appeared in the doorway, bleary-eyed. You've been in here for an hour. Let me take her. She just fell asleep. I don't want to move her. Gabriel, you have a big meeting in the morning. I'll be fine. Go back to bed. She came and sat on the arm of the chair instead, looking down at their daughter. She's so peaceful when she's sleeping. Deceivingly peaceful. 20 minutes ago she was screaming like we were torturing her. Colic. The doctor said it should get better soon. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Melody sleep, listening to her tiny snores. I never imagined this, Brianna said softly. Like this. Together. Never? Maybe I imagined it 8 months ago. Before everything fell apart. But I didn't let myself hope for it. I did. Every single day after I let you go, I imagined what it would be like if I'd made a different choice. If I'd been brave enough to fight for you. You're being brave now. Now is all that matters. Brianna leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm starting to really trust you again. It scares me. Why? Because last time I trusted you completely, you broke my heart. Gabriel's arm tightened around Melody. I can't promise I'll never make mistakes. I'm going to mess up sometimes. Say the wrong thing. Miss signals. But I promise I'll never walk away. I'll never choose anything over you and our daughter. That's a promise I can keep. I believe you, she whispered. That's the scary part. I actually believe you. The next day, Gabriel made a decision. During his lunch break, he went to a jeweler specializing in ethical diamonds. He explained what he wanted. Something beautiful but not ostentatious. Something that reflected Brianna's style rather than impressing society pages. The jeweler showed him several options. Gabriel chose a simple platinum band with a single perfect sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. It was elegant and unique, just like Brianna. When do you need it? The jeweler asked. I'm not sure yet. I'm waiting for the right moment. The right moment for what? To ask the woman I love to marry me. For real this time. Not because my family expects it. Not for business reasons. Just because I want to spend my life with her. Smart man. That's how it should be done. Gabriel carried the ring box in his pocket for days, waiting. He didn't want to rush. He didn't want Brianna to feel pressured. He wanted the moment to be perfect, natural, right? Meanwhile, Brianna was dealing with her own transition. Her event planning business had been on hold during her pregnancy and Melody's first weeks. She'd had to cancel several contracts, and she worried about losing clients permanently. "I need to get back to work," she told Tasha during one of their regular video calls, Melody on her lap. "Bills don't stop just because I had a baby. Gabriel's been helping with expenses, hasn't he?" "He has. Very generously. But I don't want to be completely dependent on him. I need my own income, my own business, my own identity beyond being Melody's mom." "So what's stopping you?" "Childcare. I can't bring Melody to event setups. And I'm not ready to leave her with a stranger all day." "What about family? Can Gabriel's family help?" "His mother hasn't even met Melody yet. His father and sister are supportive, but they have their own busy lives." "And your mom?" Brianna's face fell. "She's in Florida with her sister. Too far to help regularly." Tasha was quiet for a moment. "What if I helped? I work from home most of the time. I could watch Melody when you have events." "Tasha, that's asking too much. You're my best friend. Melody is my honorary niece. I want to help. Let me do this." Brianna's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." When Gabriel got home that evening, Brianna told him about the arrangement. She was excited but nervous. "Are you sure you're ready to take on events again?" he asked, not doubting her capability but worried about her stress level. "I need to. Not just financially but for me. I love what I do. I don't want to lose it." "Then I support you completely. But please let me help where I can. If you need better childcare, we can hire a professional nanny. If you need new equipment for your business, I'll cover it. If you need anything at all, ask me." "Gabriel, I know you value your independence. I love that about you. But we're partners now. Partners help each other." She kissed him, grateful and loving. "Okay, partners." Her first event back was a corporate gala for a tech company. Gabriel took the day off to be with Melody, giving Brianna space to focus completely on her work. He fed her, changed her, played with her, and marveled at how quickly she was growing. When Brianna came home late that night, exhausted but glowing, Gabriel was waiting with Melody in his arms. "How did it go?" "It was amazing. I'd forgotten how much I loved doing this." The client was thrilled. "They're already talking about booking me for their annual conference." "That's wonderful." "And Melody? How was she?" "Perfect angel. We bonded. I taught her the fundamentals of stock trading." Brianna laughed. "She's 2 months old. Never too early to start financial education." He handed over the baby. "But seriously, she was great. We're getting good at this, you know. The three of us. We really are." Later, as they lay in bed, Melody asleep in her crib beside them, Gabriel felt the ring box in his pocket where he transferred it to his nightstand. Not yet, he told himself. But soon. When Brianna felt completely secure in their relationship, completely confident that he was here to stay. He could wait. He had already waited 8 months. He could wait a bit longer to do this right. Because when he asked her to marry him, he wanted her to say yes without a single doubt or hesitation. He wanted her to know deep in her bones that this was forever. And he'd spend however long it took to earn that certainty. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. Gabriel was in a board meeting when his phone vibrated insistently. He glanced at the screen, his father. "I need to take this," he said, excusing himself. In the hallway he answered. "Dad? Everything okay?" "It's your mother." William's voice was strained. "She's in the hospital. Heart palpitations. They're running tests." Gabriel's stomach dropped. "I'm on my way." He called Brianna to explain, then drove to Mount Sinai Hospital. He found his father in a waiting room, looking older and more worried than Gabriel had ever seen him. "What happened?" She collapsed at her charity luncheon. 1 minute she was fine, the next she was on the floor. "They think it's stress-related, but they're checking for more serious cardiac issues." "Can I see her?" "She's stable now. Room 608. Gabriel made his way to his mother's room. Eleanor lay in the hospital bed, looking small and vulnerable in a way that shocked him. Her usual commanding presence was absent. She looked at him when he entered, and something flickered in her eyes. Relief, maybe, or regret. "Gabriel." "Mom?" He sat in the chair beside her bed. "Dad said you collapsed. Apparently my body decided to stage a dramatic protest. The doctors think it's stress?" Eleanor was quiet for a moment. "Among other things. Apparently, I have high blood pressure and haven't been managing it properly. Add stress and... She gestured weakly at the hospital equipment. You need to take better care of yourself. So I'm being told. She looked at him, really looked at him. How is she? The baby? Gabriel's heart skipped. Melody? She's wonderful. Growing every day. And her mother? Brianna is amazing. Working again. Being an incredible parent. Taking better care of herself than you are, apparently. His mother almost smiled. You're not going to let me forget this, are you? That you're human and need to listen to doctors? Never. Eleanor's expression turned serious. I've been unfair to you. And to them. Yes, you have. I was angry. Embarrassed. I had planned that wedding for months. Every detail was perfect. And then you just left. I know. But lying here, thinking about what could have happened if this had been more serious, I realized something. I spent my whole life controlling things. Your father's career. Your path. Every social appearance. And for what? So people would think well of us? So we'd maintain some image of perfection? Mom, you don't have to. Let me finish. She took a shaky breath. I've missed 2 months of my granddaughter's life because I was too proud to admit I was wrong. That's time I can't get back. And if something had happened to me today, I would have died never knowing her. Gabriel felt his throat tighten. You're not dying. Not today, apparently. But Gabriel, I'm 62 years old. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't want to waste it being stubborn and angry. What are you saying? I'm saying I'd like to meet my granddaughter. If you and Brianna will allow it. Gabriel reached out and took his mother's hand. Of course. We want that. We've always wanted that. Even after how I've behaved? You're still my mother. And Melody deserves to know her grandmother. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Good thing love isn't about deserving. He stayed with his mother until visiting hours ended, then drove to Brianna's apartment. She was feeding Melody when he arrived and she looked up with concern. How is your mother? Stable. It was a warning, the doctor said. She needs to manage her stress better, change her diet, take medication. He sat beside her on the couch. She wants to meet Melody. Brianna's expression was carefully neutral. How do you feel about that? I think it's the right thing. She's my mother. She made mistakes, but she's trying to make amends. Isn't that what we're all doing? What if she's still judgmental? What if she makes me feel small? Then I'll shut it down immediately. But I don't think she will. I think this health scare genuinely scared her into reconsidering her priorities. Brianna looked down at Melody, who was falling asleep against her chest. Okay. She can meet her granddaughter. But we're doing it on our terms. In our home. And at the first sign of disrespect, she leaves. Fair enough. They arranged for Eleanor to visit the following week, after she was discharged from the hospital. Gabriel's father and Rachel came with her, providing moral support on all sides. Eleanor arrived carrying a large box wrapped in elegant paper. She looked healthier than she had in the hospital but still subdued, careful. Thank you for welcoming me, she said to Brianna, her voice formal but not cold. Thank you for coming, Brianna replied, equally formal. They all sat in the small living room, the atmosphere tense but not hostile. Melody was awake, lying on her playmat, kicking her legs and making happy sounds. Eleanor looked at her granddaughter and something in her face crumbled. She's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Would you like to hold her? Brianna offered, surprising Gabriel. May I? Of course. Brianna carefully picked up Melody and placed her in Eleanor's arms. Gabriel watched his mother's face transform as she held the baby, all her usual composure melting away. Hello, little one, Eleanor whispered. I'm your grandmother. I'm sorry I took so long to meet you. That was very foolish of me. Melody looked up at Eleanor with her serious baby eyes, as if considering whether to accept this apology. Then she made a small cooing sound and wrapped her tiny hand around Eleanor's finger. Eleanor started crying. Not delicate tears but real, messy emotion. She's perfect. Both of you, you've done such a wonderful job with her. William and Rachel exchanged relieved looks. Gabriel took Brianna's hand, squeezing gently. I brought some things, Eleanor said after she'd composed herself, still holding Melody. Family heirlooms. A silver rattle that belonged to Gabriel's great-grandmother. A blanket my mother made. And some new things, clothes and books. I hope that's all right. That's very generous, Brianna said, her own voice thick with emotion. Eleanor looked at Brianna directly. I owe you an apology. A real one. I judged you without knowing you. I dismissed your relationship with my son because you didn't fit my narrow idea of what was appropriate. That was wrong. I was wrong. Thank you for saying that. I've spent the past week thinking about what Gabriel said in his interview. That he couldn't live according to my expectations anymore. He was right. I've been controlling and rigid and I missed 8 months of joy because of it. If you and Melody can forgive me, I'd like to be part of your family. Not to control or manage, just to be present. Brianna looked at Gabriel, who nodded encouragingly. She turned back to Eleanor. I'd like that. Melody should know her grandmother. The tension in the room broke. Rachel immediately started showing photos of herself as a baby, making Melody laugh with silly faces. William and Gabriel discussed the latest business developments while keeping one eye on Eleanor with the baby. And Brianna and Eleanor, in a corner of the room, had a quiet conversation. I want you to know something, Eleanor said. I judged you unfairly. But watching how you've handled all of this, the scandal, the scrutiny, raising a baby while running a business, I'm impressed. You're incredibly strong. I don't always feel strong. That's when you're strongest. When you're scared but you do it anyway. Eleanor paused. I know I can't undo the hurt I've caused, but I'd like to try to make amends. If you need help with childcare, if you need anything at all, please ask. I know I'm a terrible mother-in-law. You're not my mother-in-law, Brianna interrupted gently. We're not married. Yet. Unless I'm reading my son's intentions completely wrong. Brianna blushed. He hasn't said anything. He will. That boy has been in love with you since the moment he met you. The rest of us were just too blind to see it. The visit lasted 3 hours. By the end, Eleanor was thoroughly besotted with her granddaughter, and the atmosphere had shifted from tense to warm. As they were leaving, Eleanor pulled Gabriel aside. She's wonderful. Brianna. She's perfect for you. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. I'm just glad you see it now. Don't let her get away again. Life is too short for pride and stubbornness. I don't intend to. After everyone left, Brianna sank onto the couch, exhausted. That went better than I expected. My mother can be surprisingly gracious when she chooses to be. Your family is complicated. All families are complicated. He sat beside her. But I think we just added some good complications. Melody has her grandmother now. That's a good thing. It is. She leaned against him. Your mom said something interesting. What's that? That you haven't proposed yet. Gabriel's heart jumped. She said that? She implied you were planning to. Would you want me to? Brianna was quiet for a long moment. A few months ago I would have said it was too soon. That we needed more time. But Gabriel, you've shown me every single day that you're here to stay. You've proved yourself. So yes, if you were to ask, I'd say yes. Gabriel's hand went to his pocket, where he'd been carrying the ring box for weeks. But something stopped him. Not doubt. Just the knowledge that this moment, tired on the couch after a long day, wasn't quite right. Good to know, he said, kissing her temple. I'll keep that in mind. Over the next few weeks, Eleanor became a regular presence in their lives. She visited twice a week, bringing gifts but more importantly bringing her time. She held Melody while Brianna showered or napped. She shared parenting advice from her own experience, gently and without condescension. She even watched Melody one afternoon so Gabriel and Brianna could go on a proper date. Thank you for this, Brianna said to Eleanor as they were leaving. It's been months since we've had time just the two of us. It's my pleasure. Truly. Go enjoy yourselves. Melody and I will have a wonderful time talking about how exhausting you young people are. The date was simple but perfect. Dinner at a quiet Italian restaurant. A walk through Central Park as the sun set. Holding hands like they had when they first fell in love. This is nice, Brianna said, leaning into Gabriel as they walked. Just being us. It is. Though I miss her already. Me too. Is that weird? We've been away for 2 hours and I miss our baby. Not weird. Just being a parent. They stopped at a bench overlooking the lake. The city glittered around them, but here in this pocket of nature, they could almost forget they were in Manhattan. Brianna, Gabriel said, turning to face her. I need to tell you something. That sounds serious. It is. And it isn't. He took both her hands. 8 months ago, I made the worst mistake of my life. I let you go because I was a coward. I chose what was expected over what I wanted. And I've spent every day since then regretting it. Gabriel? Let me finish. When I got that call on my wedding day, it was like waking up from a nightmare. I realized I was about to make an even worse mistake. So I ran. Not away from something but toward something. Toward you. Toward our daughter. toward the life I should have chosen from the beginning. I know. You've shown me. I'm not done. He smiled, nervous and excited. These past few months, watching you with Melody building this life together, I've fallen more in love with you than I ever thought possible. You're strong and brave and beautiful. You're an incredible mother. You challenge me and support me and make me want to be better. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the ring box. Brianna's eyes went wide. Is that? Brianna Washington, will you marry me? Not because it's expected. Not for business reasons. Not because we have a daughter, though she's the best thing that ever happened to us. But because I love you. Because I can't imagine my life without you. Because every day with you is exactly where I want to be. He opened the box, revealing the sapphire ring. Brianna's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Gabriel? I know I don't deserve you. I know I messed up spectacularly. But if you'll give me the chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that this time I got it right. Yes, she whispered. Yes, of course, yes. Gabriel slipped the ring on her finger and it fit perfectly. He pulled her close and kissed her, pouring every ounce of love and promise and commitment into that moment. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying and laughing at the same time. I love you, Brianna said. I love you so much. I love you too. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for believing in us. They sat on that bench for a long time, holding each other, planning their future, feeling like the luckiest people in the world. When they finally went to pick up Melody from Eleanor's, they were both glowing. Eleanor took one look at Brianna's hand and smiled. About time, she said, hugging them both. Congratulations. You knew he was going to propose? Brianna accused playfully. I might have had an inkling. A mother knows these things. That night, Gabriel and Brianna lay in bed, Melody asleep between them, the ring on Brianna's finger catching the light. Happy? Gabriel asked. Happier than I've ever been. Me too. Who knew that abandoning my wedding would lead to this? I think the universe was giving you a very dramatic wake-up call. Best wake-up call I ever got. Brianna turned her head to look at him over Melody's sleeping form. Promise me something. Anything. Promise we'll always be this honest with each other. That we'll never let fear or pride keep us from saying what we need to say. I promise. No more running. No more choosing duty over love. Just us, our family, and whatever comes next. I can live with that. They fell asleep like that, hands linked over their daughter, engaged and happy and whole. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As partners. As a family. As it should have been from the beginning. The call came from Bernard Hughes on a Wednesday morning. Gabriel was making pancakes while Brianna fed Melody, both of them still in their pajamas, enjoying a rare slow morning. Gabriel, we need to talk. Today. It's urgent. Can it wait until this afternoon? I'm with my family. I'm afraid it can't. There's been a development. The board needs to see you at noon. Gabriel's good mood evaporated. What kind of development? Just be there. Please. He hung up and looked at Brianna. I have to go to the office. Emergency board meeting. On your day off? Apparently it can't wait. He kissed Melody's head, then Brianna's lips. I'll be back as soon as I can. The tension in the boardroom was thick enough to cut. Every member was present, their expressions grave. Bernard stood at the head of the table. Thank you for coming, Gabriel. We've had an interesting proposal. From whom? Caroline's father. Or rather, his consortium of investors. Gabriel went very still. What kind of proposal? A hostile takeover attempt. They're offering a significant premium on our stock price. Enough that many shareholders are considering selling. That's ridiculous. We're profitable. Growing. There's no reason. The reason is personal, Margaret Chin interrupted. This is about revenge. Caroline's father wants to strip you of the company as payback for what you did to his daughter. Gabriel felt like he'd been punched. This is about the wedding? Precisely. He's been quietly buying up shares for weeks. He's convinced other investors that Mitchell Enterprises needs new leadership, someone less controversial. Combined with his consortium's offer, we're looking at a legitimate threat. How much of the company do they control? 38%. Not enough for an immediate takeover, but close. If they can convince another 15% to sell, we lose control. Gabriel sat heavily in his chair. What are my options? Thomas Wright spoke up. Fight it. Rally your supporters. Make a counteroffer. But Gabriel, you need to know this is going to get ugly. They're going to dig into every aspect of your personal life. The wedding. Brianna. Your mother's health crisis. They'll use everything to paint you as unstable and unfit. Let them try. There's another option, Bernard said quietly. You could step down voluntarily. Take a generous severance package. Let someone else take over as CEO. That might satisfy Whitmore and his investors, save the company, and protect your family from further scrutiny. You want me to quit? We want to present all options. Gabriel looked around the table at these people he'd worked with for years. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked resigned. A few looked almost eager. No, he said firmly. I built this company. I've tripled its value. I've made good decisions, ethical choices, profitable ventures. I'm not stepping down because an angry father wants revenge. Then you need a plan, Margaret said. And fast. The board vote is in 3 weeks. Gabriel left the meeting and went straight to his father's office. I heard, William said before Gabriel could speak. Whitmore's people have been calling, trying to get me to sell my shares. Will you? Of course not. I'm voting with you, son. But my shares aren't enough. I need to fight this. You also need to consider whether fighting is worth the cost. This is going to be brutal. For you, for Brianna, for Melody. Is the company worth that? Gabriel thought about it. Was it? A year ago he would have said yes without hesitation. The company was everything. But now, it's not just about the company, he said slowly. If I let Whitmore push me out, what does that teach Melody? That you should back down when things get hard? That consequences matter more than doing the right thing? I made mistakes, yes. But I'm trying to build something good out of those mistakes. I won't let someone take that away out of spite. His father nodded. Then we fight. Together. Over the next 2 weeks, Gabriel worked 18-hour days. He met with every major shareholder personally, explaining his vision for the company's future. He prepared detailed financial projections showing continued growth. He lined up testimonials from employees, clients, and business partners. Brianna supported him through it all, even though it meant less time together. She understood what was at stake. Just promise me something, she said one night as he was reviewing documents at 3 a.m. Promise you'll know when to walk away if it's not worth it. What do you mean? I mean that you're a brilliant person, Gabriel. If this board chooses revenge over sound business sense, that's their loss. We'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't sacrifice your health and sanity for people who don't deserve your loyalty. I'm not giving up. I'm not asking you to give up. I'm asking you to remember what actually matters. This company is important, but it's not more important than you, than us, than our family. He pulled her close. You're right. And I promise if it comes down to the company or you and Melody, I choose you. Every time. The board vote took place on a gray Tuesday afternoon. Shareholders filled the meeting room. The press waited outside. Gabriel sat at the front, beside his father and Rachel, who had insisted on being there. Bernard called the meeting to order. We're here to vote on whether Gabriel Mitchell should remain as CEO of Mitchell Enterprises, or whether we should accept the takeover offer from the Whitmore Consortium, which requires his removal. Arguments were presented on both sides. Numbers were shared. Character was debated. Gabriel watched it all with a strange sense of detachment. These people were deciding his fate based on factors that had nothing to do with his actual performance. Finally, it was his turn to speak. I could stand here and list all the reasons I'm a good CEO. The profits, the growth, the innovations. But I think you all know those numbers already. So instead, I want to talk about values. He looked around the room. 6 months ago, I made a choice. I chose my daughter over appearances. I chose love over duty. I chose truth over convenience. Some of you think that makes me irresponsible. I think it makes me human. This company isn't just about profits. It's about people. The thousands of employees who work here. The clients who trust us. The communities we serve. Yes, I had a personal crisis, but I handled it. I showed up. I adapted. And I'm asking you to look at my actual performance, not the gossip. If you vote to remove me because an angry father wants revenge, you're sending a message about what kind of company this is. A place where personal vendettas matter more than results. Where public image matters more than integrity. Is that really the Mitchell Enterprises you want? He sat down. The vote was taken by secret ballot. The wait was excruciating. Gabriel held his father's hand on one side, Rachel's on the other. Brianna was at home with Melody, waiting for his call. Finally, Bernard announced the results. The vote to remove Gabriel Mitchell as CEO has failed. 58% voted to retain current leadership. 42% voted for removal. Relief flooded through Gabriel. He had won. By a smaller margin than he would have liked, but he had won. After the meeting, several board members approached him. That was a close call, Thomas said. You need to rebuild trust with that 42%. I know. I will. Margaret Chin surprised him by offering her hand. You fought well. And you were right. This company is about more than gossip and scandal. Thank you for your support. Don't thank me yet. You've got work to do. But I believe you can do it. When Gabriel finally got home, he found Brianna and Melody waiting for him. He collapsed onto the couch, exhausted but victorious. Well? Brianna asked. I won. They voted to keep me. Oh, thank goodness. She sat beside him, careful not to wake the sleeping Melody in her arms. How do you feel? Tired? Relieved? A little disappointed that it was even a question. But you won. And you did it honestly. I did. He looked at his fiancée and his daughter. And I realized something during all of this. If I'd lost, if they'd voted me out, I would have been okay. 'Cause I have you. I have her. I have a life that matters beyond boardrooms and stock prices. That's very evolved of you. Don't sound so surprised. She laughed. I'm not. You've grown a lot in the past few months. We both have. Over the next few weeks, Gabriel worked to heal the divisions in the company. He met individually with those who had voted against him, listening to their concerns, addressing their doubts. Slowly the tension eased. The Whitmore Consortium eventually backed off, unable to gain enough support for a takeover. Caroline's father made one last attempt to cause trouble, leaking unflattering stories to the press, but by then public interest had moved on to other scandals. Life settled once more into a comfortable rhythm. Gabriel was still CEO, but with a renewed sense of perspective. Work was important, but it wasn't everything. One evening he came home to find Brianna on the phone, her expression excited. That's wonderful. Yes, I can definitely make that work. Thank you so much. She hung up and turned to Gabriel. You'll never guess what just happened. Tell me. That was Patricia Brennan. She runs the biggest event planning agency in New York. She wants to partner with my business. Says she's been watching my work and is impressed. She's offering me 3 major contracts and mentorship to help scale my company. Gabriel swept her into a hug. That's incredible. Congratulations. There's more. She said she didn't want to approach me while you were dealing with the takeover attempt because she didn't want it to look like she was taking advantage. But now that things have settled, she wants to help. Will you accept? Are you kidding? This is everything I've been working toward. Of course I'll accept. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of us. Look at what we've built, Gabriel. Both of us facing our challenges and coming out stronger. That night, after Melody was asleep, they sat together on the couch, planning their future. Brianna's expanding business. Gabriel's renewed focus at work. Their wedding, which they decided to plan for the following spring. Small ceremony, Brianna said. Just family and close friends. Something real, not a spectacle. Perfect. Where? I was thinking that botanical garden near where we had our first date. Remember that place? I remember. You told me corporate types never notice beauty because we're too busy making money. You proved me wrong. Eventually. Only because you taught me to look. They kissed, sweet and lingering, the kiss of 2 people who had found their way back to each other through honesty and courage and love. I love our life, Brianna whispered. Even with all the complications. Especially with the complications, Gabriel corrected. They made us who we are. Who are we? A family. Imperfect and real and strong. The kind of family I always wanted but didn't know how to build until I met you. That's beautiful. I learned it from you. Outside, the city hummed with its endless energy. But inside their small apartment, 3 people had built something precious and rare. A family forged through difficult choices and second chances. A love that had survived doubt and distance and found its way home. And that was worth more than any fortune or title or company could ever be. Winter turned to spring, and with it came preparation for the wedding. This time there would be no massive cathedral or 500 guests. No elaborate planning or family pressure. Just a simple ceremony in the botanical garden where Gabriel and Brianna had once walked during their early dating days. 50 people maximum, Brianna insisted as they worked through the guest list. Family and actual friends only. Your wish is my command, Gabriel said, adding Tasha's name without question. She's been incredible to you. She's been my rock. Through everything. Melody sat in her bouncy seat between them, now 5 months old and fascinated by everything. She had her mother's smile and her father's serious eyes. She loved to grab at papers and try to eat them, which made wedding planning an adventure. No, sweetheart, Brianna gently removed an invitation from Melody's grip for the third time. That's not food. Melody gurgled in protest, then immediately grabbed for Gabriel's pen. She's going to be trouble, Gabriel said fondly. I can already tell. She comes by it honestly. Eleanor had become an enthusiastic grandmother, visiting twice a week and spoiling Melody with books and educational toys. She and Brianna had developed an unexpected friendship, bonding over their shared love for Melody and their mutual appreciation for Gabriel's growth as a person. I never thought I'd say this, Eleanor admitted one afternoon while holding Melody, but I'm grateful for how things turned out. Not the pain it caused, but the result. Gabriel is truly happy now. I can see it. He is, Brianna agreed. We both are. And you're good for each other. You challenge him. Make him think beyond business and duty. That's exactly what he's always needed. The wedding planning itself was remarkably stress-free compared to Gabriel's previous attempt. No family drama. No pressure to impress anyone. Just two people making decisions together about how they wanted to celebrate their love. Brianna chose a simple blue dress, elegant and comfortable, perfect for a garden ceremony. Gabriel wore a gray suit with a red tie, ditching the traditional tuxedo for something that felt more authentic. No wedding party? Rachel asked when she learned there would be no bridesmaids or groomsmen. Just you as my maid of honor and Trevor as Gabriel's best man, Brianna explained. We want to keep everything intimate. I love it. It's so much more you. Tasha helped with the small details. Flowers from a local florist, a simple arch covered in ivy and white roses, a string quartet for music. Everything felt personal and meaningful rather than performative. The night before the wedding, Gabriel's father requested to speak with him privately. They met in William's study, the same room where Gabriel had spent so many tense family meetings. Tomorrow is a big day, William began. I wanted to talk to you before it happens. Is something wrong? No. The opposite actually. His father looked at him with an expression Gabriel couldn't quite read. I'm proud of you, son. More proud than I've ever been. For what? For being brave enough to choose your own path. For standing up to your mother, to the board, to everyone who told you what you should do. For making mistakes and owning them and growing from them. That takes real courage. Gabriel felt his throat tighten. Thank you, Dad. When I was your age, I didn't have that courage. I let fear and obligation dictate my choices. I married the right woman according to my family's standards, built the right career, lived the right life. And I've wondered for 50 years what might have been different if I'd been brave like you. You and Mom have been happy though, haven't you? William was quiet for a moment. We've built a life together. Raised two wonderful children. Created something stable. But happiness? True happiness? I'm not sure I knew what that was until I saw it in you these past few months. Dad. I'm not saying I regret my choices. I'm saying I admire yours. Tomorrow when you marry Brianna, you're not just marrying a woman you love. You're choosing a life that's authentic and real. That's a gift. She's the gift. She and Melody. They saved me from a life I didn't want to live. Then hold on to them. Treasure them. And don't let anything or anyone convince you that duty matters more than love. I learned that lesson too late. You learned it just in time. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful. Spring sunshine flooded through the windows as Brianna got ready in her apartment, Tasha helping with final touches. Nervous? Tasha asked, adjusting Brianna's hair. Not even a little. I'm marrying the man I love. The father of my daughter. The person who sees me for exactly who I am and loves me anyway. Why would I be nervous? Because last time he tried to get married, he ran away from the altar? Brianna laughed. That was different. He was running toward me then. Today we're both exactly where we want to be. Melody wore a tiny white dress with maroon ribbons, looking like a perfect little doll. At 5 months she couldn't walk down an aisle, but she would be there, held by Eleanor, witnessing her parents' wedding. The botanical garden was perfect. 50 chairs arranged in neat rows. The simple arch decorated with climbing roses. Soft music playing. Everything bathed in gentle sunlight filtering through the trees. Gabriel stood at the altar with Trevor beside him, and this time, his heart was light. No dread. No doubt. Just joy and anticipation. When Brianna appeared at the end of the aisle on her mother Dorothy's arm, Gabriel's breath caught. She was radiant. Her blue dress perfect against her dark skin. Her smile genuine and happy. Her eyes locked on his. This was what a wedding should feel like. Dorothy placed Brianna's hand in Gabriel's and whispered, "Take care of my daughter and granddaughter." "With my life," Gabriel promised. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They wrote their own vows, speaking from the heart rather than reading traditional words. Gabriel went first. Brianna, 8 months ago I made the worst mistake of my life when I let you go. 3 months ago I made the best decision when I chose to come back. You have shown me what it means to be brave, to be honest, to be real. You've given me the greatest gift in our daughter. And you've given me something even more precious, a second chance. I promise to spend every day earning that gift. To be present, to be honest, to choose you and our family over everything else. I love you with all that I am and all that I will ever be. Brianna's voice was steady despite the tears in her eyes. Gabriel, when we first met, I saw potential in you. A good man trapped by expectations. When you left, I thought I'd lost you forever. But you came back. Not just physically but emotionally. You showed me that people can change, that love can survive mistakes, that second chances are real. You've been there for every middle of the night feeding, every doctor's appointment, every moment of doubt. You've proved yourself not with words but with actions. I love you, Gabriel Mitchell. And I'm honored to be your wife. They exchanged rings. Simple platinum bands that matched the engagement ring Gabriel had given her months ago. The officiant smiled. By the power vested in me by the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Gabriel, you may kiss your bride. And he did. Thoroughly. While their small gathering of family and friends applauded and cheered, while Melody made happy sounds from Eleanor's arms, while the spring sun blessed them with its warmth. When they pulled apart, both crying and laughing, Brianna whispered, "We did it. We're married. For real this time. For real this time." The reception was held in a nearby garden pavilion. No formal seated dinner, just appetizers and drinks and easy conversation. A simple 3-tier cake decorated with fresh flowers. A playlist of their favorite songs instead of a live band. Gabriel's first dance with Brianna was to an old jazz standard, and they swayed together, foreheads touching, completely absorbed in each other. "Happy?" he asked. Deliriously. "Me too. Best day of my life." Better than the day Melody was born? Different kind of best. That was the day I became a father. This is the day I promised to be your partner forever. Both are pretty incredible. After the first dance, Gabriel swept Melody into his arms and danced with her while Brianna danced with her mother. Melody seemed fascinated by the music, her eyes wide as Gabriel hummed and swayed. "Your mama and I got married today," Gabriel told his daughter. "We're a real family now. Official and everything. What do you think about that?" Melody grabbed his nose and giggled. "I'll take that as approval." Eleanor approached, watching them with a soft expression. "May I cut in?" Gabriel carefully handed Melody to his mother and danced with Eleanor instead. "Thank you for accepting us," Gabriel said. "I know it wasn't easy at first. I was a fool. You were right to defy me. Sometimes a mother needs to learn when to let go and trust her children's judgment. You're a wonderful grandmother to Melody. She's wonderful to love. Just like her parents." As the afternoon turned to evening, toasts were made. Trevor spoke about Gabriel's transformation from uptight CEO to devoted father. Tasha talked about Brianna's strength and resilience. Dorothy welcomed Gabriel to the family with grace and warmth. But the most touching speech came from William. When Gabriel left his previous wedding attempt, I'll admit I was shocked. But as I've watched him over these past months, I've realized something. He didn't fail at that wedding. He succeeded at choosing authenticity over appearances. He chose love over duty. And in doing so, he showed more courage than I've seen in all my years of business. He raised his glass. To Gabriel and Brianna. May your marriage be filled with the kind of honest love that transforms everything it touches. May you always be brave enough to choose each other. And may your daughter grow up knowing that real love is worth fighting for. Everyone raised their glasses. To Gabriel and Brianna. As the party wound down and guests began to leave, Gabriel and Brianna stood together at the edge of the garden, Melody asleep in Brianna's arms, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. "We should probably go soon," Brianna said. "Someone is going to need a bottle and bed. 5 more minutes. I want to remember this moment." "What moment?" "This one. Right here. My wife in a blue dress holding our daughter. The sun setting. Everything perfect. It is perfect, isn't it? Even though we took the long way to get here. Maybe we needed the long way. To appreciate what we have." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sky change colors, feeling the spring breeze, listening to the soft sounds of their sleeping daughter. "Gabriel?" Brianna said softly. "Yeah. Thank you for leaving that wedding. For choosing us. For being brave when it mattered most." Thank you for letting me come back. For forgiving me. For believing we could make this work. Always. As they walked back to their car, past the garden where they just promised forever to each other, Gabriel felt complete in a way he'd never experienced before. He had his family. His real family. Not the one social expectations demanded, but the one his heart had chosen. And that made all the difference. 6 months later, Brianna stood in the nursery of their new home, watching Melody sleep in her crib. At 11 months old, their daughter was growing so fast it made Brianna's heart ache. Soon she would be walking, talking, becoming her own person. The new house was a compromise between Gabriel's wealth and Brianna's need for authenticity. Not a penthouse apartment or mansion, but a comfortable brownstone in Brooklyn with a small yard where Melody could play. Room for Brianna's home office for her expanding event planning business. A proper nursery decorated in soft yellows and greens, still warm but more spacious than their old apartment. Gabriel came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his chin on her shoulder. She's down for the night? Finally. She fought it for 30 minutes but exhaustion won. She's stubborn. Wonder where she gets that. Brianna elbowed him gently. From both of us probably. They stood together, watching their daughter breathe, marveling at the small miracle of her existence. I have news, Brianna said after a moment. Good news or bad news? Good news. Great news actually. Patricia Brennan offered me a partnership in her company. Not just collaboration. An actual partnership. She wants to merge our businesses with me as co-owner and creative director. Gabriel spun her around to face him. That's incredible. Congratulations. Are you going to accept? I want to. But it means I'll be busier. More travel. Bigger events. I need to know you're okay with that. Of course I'm okay with it. This is your dream, Brianna. I'll support you however you need. We'll figure out childcare. We'll make it work. Eleanor already offered to help more with Melody. And we could hire a nanny for the times when neither of us can be home. Then do it. Accept the partnership. Build your empire. Brianna smiled. My empire. I like the sound of that. Just promise me something. What? Promise we'll keep being honest with each other. About stress, about needs, about when things get overwhelming. We've built something good here. I don't want work to destroy it. I promise. We communicate. Always. That's our rule. They kissed, sweet and familiar, the kiss of two people who had chosen each other every day for almost a year. I have news too, Gabriel said when they pulled apart. Please tell me it's not another takeover attempt. He laughed. No, nothing like that. Actually, the board approached me about succession planning. They want me to start grooming someone to eventually take over as CEO. You're not leaving, are you? Not yet. But in maybe 5 years when Melody starts school, I'd like to step back. Focus more on family. Maybe go back to school, study architecture like I always wanted. The company will be fine without me. Brianna looked at him with such love and pride. You've changed so much. We've changed each other. For the better. They moved to the living room, collapsing onto their comfortable couch. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the baby monitor. Outside, Brooklyn hummed with life. Remember when we used to stay up until 2 a.m. just talking? Gabriel said. Now we're excited to go to bed at 9. Parenthood changes everything. No regrets though? Not a single one. Over the past months, their lives had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Brianna's business was thriving. Gabriel had successfully rebuilt trust at work. They were good parents who were learning and growing. They were better partners because they'd already survived the hard stuff. Eleanor had become an integral part of their lives, babysitting regularly and developing a genuine friendship with Brianna. William and Gabriel had grown closer, their relationship now based on respect rather than obligation. Rachel was Melody's favorite aunt, spoiling her shamelessly. Even Trevor had found love, inspired by Gabriel and Brianna's story. He brought his new girlfriend Alicia to dinner once a month, and the 4 adults would share meals while Melody charmed everyone with her gummy smiles and babbling. I can't believe it's been almost a year since that phone call, Brianna said, curling into Gabriel's side. Since you left the wedding and showed up at the hospital. Best decision I ever made. Even though it was so messy? Especially because it was messy. Easy doesn't mean right. Brianna's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. It's Tasha. She and Marcus are engaged. Marcus? The guy she met at our wedding? The same. She says our story inspired her to take a chance on love. Brianna showed him the text, which included a photo of a beautiful emerald ring. We're inspiring people now. That's terrifying. Or wonderful. We survived something hard and came out stronger. That's worth sharing. As if sensing her parents were talking about love and relationships, Melody stirred on the monitor. A small whimper that quickly escalated into a cry. My turn, Gabriel said, standing up. You got her down. I'll handle the middle of the night wake up. He climbed the stairs to the nursery, where Melody was standing in her crib, tears on her cheeks. The moment she saw him, her cries turned to hiccups. Hey baby girl. What's wrong? Bad dream? He picked her up, feeling her relax immediately against his chest. She was getting so big, so heavy. Soon she wouldn't fit in his arms like this anymore. You're okay. Daddy's here. I'm always here. He walked her around the room, humming softly, the same tune he'd hummed the first night he held her. Slowly, her breathing evened out and she drifted back to sleep. But Gabriel didn't put her down right away. He stood at the window holding his daughter, looking out at the Brooklyn street below. Lights and windows. People living their lives. The ordinary magic of everyday existence. A year ago he'd been miserable. Preparing for a wedding he didn't want. Living a life that felt like wearing someone else's clothes. Convinced he was doing the right thing even as every instinct screamed that he wasn't. Now he was exactly where he belonged. In a home filled with love. With a woman who challenged and supported him in equal measure. With a daughter who had changed everything about what he thought mattered. He wasn't just a CEO anymore. He was a husband. A father. A man who had learned that being real mattered more than being perfect. Brianna appeared in the doorway, watching him with Melody. You're good at this. At what? Being a dad. Being present. Being you. I had a good teacher. You taught yourself. You just needed permission to try. Gabriel carefully placed Melody back in her crib, making sure she was comfortable before joining Brianna in the hallway. Want to hear something crazy? He said as they walked back downstairs. Always. I'm grateful for that day. The wedding day. The panic. The call. All of it. Because it forced me to make a choice I should have made months earlier. You think things would have been different if you'd chosen me from the start? Instead of leaving and coming back? Gabriel considered. Maybe. We might have had an easier path. But I don't think I would have appreciated what we have as much. The hard way taught me what really matters. So you're saying abandoning your wedding was a good thing? I'm saying that sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. If you're brave enough to follow through. They settled back onto the couch, turning on a movie they probably wouldn't finish. But it didn't matter. They were together. Their daughter was asleep upstairs. Their life was exactly what they'd built it to be. Halfway through the movie, Brianna shifted to look at Gabriel. I need to tell you something. His heart skipped. The last time she'd started a sentence that way, she told him about the partnership offer. What is it? I'm pregnant. Time stopped. Gabriel stared at her, processing. We're having another baby. About 6 months from now if my calculations are right. Joy exploded through him. He pulled her close, kissing her deeply. That's incredible. That's amazing. How long have you known? I took the test this morning. I wanted to be sure before I told you. How do you feel about it? Scared. Excited. Happy. All of it. I know Melody is barely a year old. I know the timing is crazy. But Gabriel, I want this. I want our family to grow. So do I. He placed his hand on her stomach, where their second child was just beginning to form. Another baby. Our family is expanding. Are you okay with this? With everything it means? I'm more than okay. I'm grateful. Honored. So incredibly happy. They sat together, hands linked over Brianna's stomach, imagining their future. 2 children. Busy lives. Chaos and love and everything that came with a growing family. Melody is going to be a big sister, Brianna said. That's wild. She'll be good at it. She's already bossy. She gets that from your mother. Our mother now. Eleanor has fully accepted you into the family. She has, hasn't she? I never thought that would happen. People can change. If they want to. If they have a good reason. What was her reason? Melody. Seeing her son actually happy for the first time in years. That's a pretty compelling reason to evolve. Brianna laughed. When did you get so wise? When I met you. You taught me everything important. I think we taught each other. Later that night, lying in bed with Brianna asleep beside him, Gabriel thought about the journey that had brought them here. The mistakes. The pain. The courage it took to choose differently. The grace Brianna had shown in giving him another chance. He thought about the man he used to be. Trapped by duty. Afraid to want something different. Convinced that being a good son and CEO meant sacrificing his own happiness. That man felt like a stranger now. He'd been replaced by someone better. Someone who understood that love required courage. That family wasn't about obligation but choice. That being real mattered infinitely more than being perfect. In 6 months they would have another child. Another person to love and teach and watch grow. It would be chaotic and exhausting and wonderful. And Gabriel couldn't wait. As he drifted off to sleep, his hand resting on Brianna's stomach, he sent a silent thank you to whatever force had intervened that day at his wedding. The phone call that changed everything. The moment of clarity that sent him running. He had abandoned a wedding. He had caused a scandal. He had hurt people and faced consequences. But he had gained a life worth living. And that made every difficult moment worth it. 1 year later, Gabriel stood in the same botanical garden where he and Brianna had married, holding 2-year-old Melody's hand while Brianna held their 3-month-old son Noah. They had come for the garden's spring bloom, wanting to mark the anniversary of their wedding with something simple and beautiful. Melody toddled through the flowers in her bright green dress, pointing at everything and saying, "Pretty," in her adorable toddler voice. "She has your love of beautiful things," Gabriel said, watching their daughter. "She has your business sense too. Yesterday she negotiated 2 extra cookies by offering to clean up her toys first. That's my girl." Noah slept peacefully in Brianna's arms, wrapped in a maroon blanket. He had his mother's eyes and his father's serious expression, though at 3 months old, mostly he just ate and slept and made everyone fall in love with him. Life was busy with 2 children under 2. Brianna had taken maternity leave from her partnership, though she still consulted on major events from home. Gabriel had cut back his hours even more, determined to be present for his children's early years. The business continued to thrive. The takeover attempt was now old news. Gabriel had successfully groomed his successor and was already making plans to step down in a few years. His architecture dreams were no longer just dreams but actual plans. "What are you thinking about?" Brianna asked, joining him on a bench while Melody explored nearby flowers. "Everything. How different life is now compared to 2 years ago. How grateful I am for that phone call." "The phone call that ruined your wedding?" "The phone call that saved my life." Brianna leaned her head on his shoulder. "We should probably tell people our news. Are you ready for everyone to know?" "I think so. It's real now. We might as well share it." They had made a decision recently that would surprise many people. Gabriel was stepping down as CEO early, not in 5 years but in 6 months. He and Brianna were moving to Seattle, where she'd been offered a chance to open a West Coast branch of her partnership. Gabriel would start an architecture degree, finally pursuing the dream he'd abandoned. It was a massive change. A risk. An adventure. But after everything they'd been through, taking risks together felt natural. "Our families are going to have opinions," Gabriel said. "When don't they have opinions?" "Fair point." Melody came running back, clutching a fallen flower petal. "Daddy, look. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Just like you." She beamed, then spotted her baby brother. "Noah sleeping?" "Yes, Noah is sleeping. I protect him," Melody announced seriously, patting Noah's blanket with her tiny hand. Gabriel's heart swelled. His daughter, protective and loving at 2 years old. His son, peaceful and healthy. His wife, brilliant and strong and exactly who he wanted beside him for every adventure. This was his family. His real family. Built on honesty and courage and choosing each other every single day. "I love you," he told Brianna, kissing her temple. "I love you too. Both of you. All of you. Ready for our next adventure? With you? Always." As they walked through the garden together, Melody between them holding both their hands, Noah asleep in Brianna's arms, Gabriel felt at peace. The future held uncertainty and challenges. But it also held possibility and joy and the kind of love that makes everything worthwhile. He had left a wedding 2 years ago. Left an entire life behind in one dramatic moment. And he had found something infinitely better. He had found home.